Yo, come on, come all, nothing but love, nothing but respect. You know what we do, what we don't, what we is, what we isn't, and what we is here today, a day later than we normally do at the moment. But I've got with me Eggs for Brekkie, aka Daniel. Say hello, my guy.
Hello.
Wonderful, and we're here today to talk about One Piece chapter 1067, Punk Records. Um, Weirdly, this was like a really heavy, dense chapter, but at the same time, not a lot happened, eh?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like this was a really good setup chapter, but at the same point in time, like, there was nothing too paramount that happened in it.
Yeah, that is true. Like it was all stuff that we've kind of expected and seen and
Mm.
yeah.
Um, I was right though with the whole BS of the cover page series still going on because we've got Judge versus Caesar teeing up at the moment. Um,
Mm.
which I've just got the feeling that like Judge and Caesar are just gonna be like, I'm smarter than you, no, I'm smarter than you, no, I'm smarter than you, and eventually Caesar's just gonna become like the new like right hand man lab assistant for Judge going forward. Or this
Yeah.
may end up continuing on in a really dragged out fashion to the point that it actually ends with the reformation of Mads. Like
Yeah.
I could
I mean, like it would be interesting if like this dragged on all the way until they basically just met back up with the Straw Hats and with Vegapunk and then yeah.
I mean
Then only thing would be Queen.
well Queen got his ass kicked on Wano. It'd be interesting if they come across him after that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
It'd be cool. Um, it'd definitely be cool. It'd be. I think it'd go. It'd be a good way to bring a lot of that together, especially since with what happens later in this chapter with Vegapunk, and how he may be leaving with the crew. Also, just for reference, because we're doing this a day late, I'm actually using the copy for this for the official translation since it's actually out. um, Speaking of, so we cut over to Vegapunk, who explains that he's the eater of the Nomi 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 Nomi.
Which is a golden name.
I love that. But he's the eater of the brain fruit, and his head ended up getting him as tall as a giant, which is actually kind of crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that's a big ass
no, but like, Vegapunk's not small. He may look it, but he's not small at all.
head.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Like, he's without his head at the moment, he's still like 3 meters tall.
Mm.
With his head, he's around 12 meters tall.
Yeah.
Man's walking around with like a solid 9 meters, 8 9 meters of just pure brain power. It's actually disgusting.
And funnily enough, right? This is like a really abstract, weird thing, but he basically said like, I cut my head off. I cut off the top of my head, and now I connect to this essentially what is like a brain.
Yeah.
So did he literally just cut his head off and then put his head in that punk records
So
area, and then it just kept growing, and like literally, basically, the size of that egg is his head.
yeah. So my understanding is the top egg bit is
Mhm.
actually his head, and as it's continued to grow,
Yeah.
and
Basically, his head now is like way bigger than a giant.
yeah, his head now. I mean, remember how a couple of weeks ago I was like, "Oh, this island's at least like easily 1 to 2 kilometers tall," because
Yeah.
you had the giant robot that was about 300 meters tall.
Yeah.
So his brain is like a good 800 meters squared or cubed,
Yeah.
which is fucking ridiculous. Also,
That's pretty insane.
I like how it links with the idea because this raised a really interesting point to me personally. and that is, I think we've officially found who the narrator is in One Piece.
I think he's the narrator.
I think the narrator is, after the series is said and done, the recollection of it from Punk Records.
It's like a big database.
Yeah, so like, you know how he says in this, anyone should be able to, like, I want to get it to the point where anyone can plug in and get the information from Punk Records. Everyone can share that.
Yeah.
I'm actually thinking, with the way the story starts off and with how it, like, you know how we get our flashbacks and stuff like that, but at the same point in time, the entire story, even through those flashbacks, we have that narrator that monologues over the top.
Yeah.
I'm actually starting to think that that's actually the punk, like, the disembodied voice of Punk Records.
Yeah, it's possible. It's a bit out there, but it's possible.
I know that seems really far-fetched, but it's one of the reasons why I think it was left so late in the story to be introduced as well. Because, I mean, imagine in like a year or two, if we get to this point in the anime, and Vegapunk's voice actor is the same as like the narrator or something. Like the proper Vegapunk. You know what I mean?
True.
It'd make for a really interesting twist, I think. And I know it's not too important, but it makes sense